Well everyone, the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra has been out for almost a month now, so I wanted to go ahead and kind of bring everyone up to speed onto what my thoughts are for this particular phone, and to kind of give you the impression of whether this phone is still worth buying, if the predecessor is better, all this other stuff. And I will definitely tell you, I love the S24 Ultra. I think it is a very, very good phone, and I do think overall Samsung did a tremendous job with this particular device. There's not to be honest, there's not a whole lot more Samsung I think could do on the exterior of this phone to make it better or to look better or anything like that. This is a killer device. I love this phone a lot. And I do think like if I'm going to go ahead and buy some sort of device, this is one that I look at as being probably one of the best phones I would continuously recommend throughout this whole entire year. So if you want to pick up this phone or maybe some other phones I'd recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of the Galaxy S24 Ultra, on the front of this phone, you are getting a 6.8-inch dynamic LTPO AMOLED display. It's a very, very good panel. Like Samsung did a tremendous job with this particular device, and I do think realistically speaking, no matter what's going to happen, this is going to be one of those devices that's going to stand the test of time for so many years from now. And that is something that I actually love seeing. Like if I'm going to go and buy some sort of phone, I want it to have, the best hardware that I can get for the price. And this phone is an expensive phone, but it is a very, very good phone that I like a lot from that particular perspective. Because, it has really good hardware. So it's a big display. It is a flat display as well, so keep that in mind. And for the last month or, a little bit over a month, it's been holding up very well. It still holds up very well from a lot of different ways too. And I do think the display is easily one of the best things. 1440p, 120 Hz, one of the brightest panels you can buy on a phone right now, 2600 nits of brightness. Very, very good stuff going on for this phone. And it definitely gets a thumbs up for me, without a doubt, on this particular device. Now you are getting that USB Type-C port on this particular phone too, which is actually very cool. I love having the USB Type-C port, has Samsung DeX as well, and that is something that is actually very awesome too, and that in and of itself is a very, very cool thing. You're getting the S Pen on this phone too, which is really cool, and the S Pen built in is again one of the coolest things going on for this particular device, because you can easily just go ahead, plug and play this thing with its stylus, and it is easily once again one of the coolest things going on for this phone. That's really what separates this device against all of its main competitors, I would say. Phones like the iPhone 15 Pro Max and the Google Pixel 8 Pro. Those types of phones don't have any sort of stylus you can throw into this device. This one does, which is, honestly separating it quite well against the competition. For the rest of the sides, it's mostly flat, top, flat, bottom flat, kind of like in most other phones. On the back side, you are getting this frosted glass back, which is actually very nice. I love having a frosted glass back, and that makes this phone feel that much more premium and so much better in a lot of different ways. Like I love having this type of frosted glass back, and it really makes it feel so much more premium. You have this kind of quadruple camera setup kind of situation going on, which we'll talk about in a second. You have wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, IP certification. A lot of good stuff going on for this particular phone, and it definitely is easily still a really, really good device. For the last week or so, or last month or so, it's been holding up well. Most of the reviews have been positive. There was the screen issue going on for this particular phone, but looks like that's been fixed for the most part. So this is easily, once again, one of my most favorite things, favorite type of panels going on for these particular devices, which honestly gets a thumbs up for me without a doubt. So from that perspective alone, that kind of gets a thumbs up for me. Now, moving on to the other side of things, this particular phone, price tag wise, is at a really good spot, at around, the price tag that it was before. It's not how much it's being sold for now. So it is being sold for a little bit cheaper, so keep that in mind. But other than that, it's still, maybe like $100 or $200 cheaper than what it was brand new just a little bit ago. But it's still a very good price to pay for a phone like this, I would say. But I would wait if you want to get an even better deal. Like every month you wait, it's just going to get cheaper and cheaper. So that's probably one thing to keep in mind here. Now beyond that, this particular device, you are getting, a very good camera setup. So you're getting a 200 megapixel wide, 50 megapixel periscope telephoto, 10 megapixel telephoto, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. Then you're also getting a 12 megapixel wide angle camera on the front. You're getting 4K at 60 on the front and the back of this particular phone, which is very good. And you are getting 8K capability on the back as well. So that is something that's actually very cool going on for this particular phone, that you have that type of capability, which is genuinely very awesome. So we've been having 8K capability on our phones pretty much since the Samsung Galaxy S20. So that was something that was very cool. I'm very glad that we have that type of, feature set going on here. But I will tell you from, my particular opinion, if I'm going to go ahead and buy a phone, this type of device has such an amazing camera and it's just hard to even comprehend. You will be able to use this camera for so many years from now, and no matter what you're going to do, it's going to be perfectly fine. I've compared this camera against all the S24s, the 15s, like it does a really good job. Really, no matter what you're going to throw at it, it's going to be able to handle it. And that's one of the coolest things going on for this particular phone, is because it has that great of a camera, and it really has that great, I mean, if you're going to compare this phone against all the phones now, this one probably has one of the best cameras. But even looking forward, if you're going to compare this camera against next year's phones, or 2 years or 3 years, from now phones, it's gonna, this phone's gonna hold up very well from that particular perspective. So that right there is like another really big thing to keep in mind there. In terms of software, this is by far one of my most favorite things going on for this particular device. And when I'm buying something like the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, I love the fact that this phone is going to be supported with software for so many years now. Like if I'm going to go ahead and buy a phone, I love that this thing is going to be giving me this type of capability of giving me like 7 years of software and security updates. This is by far one of the coolest things going on for this particular device. And if I'm going to go ahead and buy some sort of phone, I love that I do have that type of capability on this device, that I can just go ahead and essentially just, plug and play with my software, and it's going to last for a very long amount of time. This is by far one of my most favorite things going on here. And that again, like if I'm going to go ahead and buy a phone, this is going to be one of the things that I love seeing. If I can buy a phone today and make it last 7 years, that's amazing. And that's exactly what's going on with this particular phone. So that's another big asset for this device. Now it is One UI. Some people prefer One UI or stock Android or iOS or whatever. I think One UI has gotten better over time. And there's a lot more features within One UI, I would say, than stock Android. So keep that in mind. And performance, I mean, we all know the performance of this phone is going to be the best as well. You are getting that Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset inside with 12 gigabytes of RAM. And with this type of device, again, very good performing. It's just a very good performing device. And that's one of my favorite things going on for this particular phone. Like if I'm going to go ahead and go through, and if I'm going to go ahead and buy some sort of device, I love that this thing has this type of capability, because it is easily one of my most favorite devices going on from that particular perspective. Because you can easily just go through and just basically, do anything you want to on this particular phone. Like if you can think it, you can do it on this, type of device. I think 12 gigabytes of RAM is more than enough for a lot of people. I would say 8 is a good middle ground for, mostly, everyday person, and maybe even above average. Like if you're somebody who needs to kind of, have a little bit better of a performing device, well, you can get something with 8 gigs of RAM and still get by. But with 12, that still is like top tier. 16 is crazy, but if you need 12, this one's giving it to you. And that's another really big asset for this type of device as well, because you are getting that type of capability from there, which is genuinely very cool. So what I can definitely tell you to kind of round out my thoughts, I think the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra is easily really one of the best phones you can probably buy this year. It's an expensive phone, so obviously it should be good, but this is easily, one of the better phones you can probably buy. And I do think if I'm going to go ahead and recommend a phone to people, this is probably one of the better devices. Like it's so good. I think Samsung knocked it out of the park. And of course, it's not a cheap phone by any means, but it's a very, very good device. And that is something that I actually like a lot about this phone. Now, are there other phones I'd recommend? Like if you want to buy the 15 Pro Max and save some money, or the Pixel 8 Pro in the used market and save some money, well, you always have that option. So you can basically just go down that direction and basically pick up those devices. But I would say at the same time, you are probably better off buying something like the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra in the used market, saving some money that way, because this is a very good phone and I love this phone a lot. So that pretty much covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.